Let's talk about the JBL Go 3. Now, when I bought this, I wasn't really in the market for another Bluetooth speaker, but JBL was running a sale. This was probably 2 months before Black Friday, and this was 50% off. So in the United States, retail on this is $49.99, I think, so 50 bucks. I ended up getting it for $24.99. So solid deal. I didn't really need one though, because I already had this guy that I bought a few years ago, and it works just fine. But when I saw this, and I didn't just buy it because it was cheap, I thought to myself, you know, it'd be kind of handy. You know, I mean, this thing's pretty small. It'd be kind of handy to have a more lightweight one that I could just chuck in my backpack and not really notice that it's there. This one is kind of heavy. It's round. If you throw it in a bag, it just kind of becomes a heavy bulge. But I've had no issues with this. This one's made by Ultimate Ears, and it works just fine. I've still got it. I don't really use it though now that I've got this one. I was pleasantly surprised when I got this. It's surprisingly loud. I think it's got like a, I don't know, a 2-inch speaker or 2.5-inch speaker in there or something, a really small speaker, but it puts out a lot of sound for how small it is. Now, are you going to take this tailgating in some loud environment? No, it's not gonna work for that. But if you've got half a dozen people on your patio and you're looking to have a few drinks and have a little background music, this works perfect. I actually brought this on a trip with me to the Philippines for a month. And I threw it in my personal item, which was a 10-liter sling, and didn't even really notice it was in there. It just slid in there nice because of how thin it was. There's no way I could have brought this one. It would have just been a big bulge in my sling. But this really became an awesome travel speaker for me, because in the Philippines it's loud, which means there's a lot of traffic at night, there's a lot of people at night, there's, you know, roosters crowing in the morning. Actually, that's kind of, I think, like a myth that they crow in the morning. They crow hourly, like all day long, all night long, and it almost seems like on the hour. I don't know if they have like a built-in clock or something, but it's darn near on the top of the hour every hour. But traffic, people, it's just loud. And most people that live there are used to it, but if you're not used to it, if you're more used to a quiet environment, I brought this and I cached a Spotify list that was just thunderstorms. So I just had like a mild thunderstorm on in the background. And I think JBL rates the battery on this at like 5 or 6 hours, but at a low volume where you just kind of have a little something drowning out the background noise, it lasts all night. So I'm thinking the 5 to 6 hours must be like cranked to the max, blaring hip hop, because I actually had this pretty loud, and I swear I was getting like, I never had it actually die on me in any circumstance, but I would think this thing at half power, 60% power, could probably go for like 8 hours. Don't quote me on it. I haven't done a test on it, but it just seems like it goes longer than the 5 to 6 hours. But awesome for like a little at-night speaker, because this one, you can set it up, the speakers here, and you can point it at you. And I find the audio quality out of this is a lot more clear than this one, because these round ones, they tend to take the speaker and shoot it up, so the sound kind of radiates out in every direction. And I think when you don't get the speaker pointing at you, you don't necessarily get the clarity of the speaker. You're getting kind of like the frequencies that are more omnidirectional as opposed to directional. And the higher the frequency is, the more directional it is. And then the lower the frequency is, the more omnidirectional it becomes. Well, with this, you get the speaker pointing right at you, so any of the higher directional frequencies, you're kind of getting shot right at you. So this one is pretty crystal clear, and surprisingly bassy as well. I'll go into one thing. So it's got this pad back here to set it like this, but if you set it on a table like this and you're cranking some tunes, it does the bzzz, and it'll just vibrate, like start walking around your table. But if you actually set it up on the stand, you know, like this, and point it at you, it's fine. I think, you know, you just get a little bit more pressure in a smaller place to let it stand in place, whereas you get less pressure per square inch, and the speaker vibrates this way, which kind of causes it to vibrate. And also, if you hang it from this, I was actually showing this to my brother because he ended up ordering one after I bought it because he thought it was pretty impressive. He liked this better than this. And this cost, I think, like 50 or 60 bucks when I bought it. And this is also 50 bucks, but I got it for 25. So he ended up ordering one right away when it was on sale, but I actually took it and I hung it on a hook on my kitchen counter. And he's like, oh, why does it sound so weird? And I realized if you hang it against a wall, it just sits there and kind of resonates against the wall and creates a weird vibration with the sound. So you got to be a little careful with that. But it doesn't mean this is unusable, because when I was in the Philippines, I rented a scooter. And so I actually took carabiner and I had my sling in the front, and I'd clip it to the hand strap right on my carabiner and have it hanging right there. And I'd crank up the tunes on my Spotify and be jamming down the road, because sometimes I'd have to drive 45 minutes, an hour if I was going to a certain destination. And it was just kind of nice to have the tunes cranking, because I'm not a big one for putting earbuds in when I'm on a scooter, especially in the Philippines, because a lot of people they use a horn differently on a car. Like in the US, it's like, hey, you dumb son of a bitch, honk honk, wave your fist at them. But in the Philippines, if you're riding on a scooter and a car is coming up behind you, sometimes they'll be like, toot toot, just to let you know they're coming around you. So they use it more as a, hey, just so you know I'm coming by kind of thing. Or if somebody is turning into an intersection, because, in some cities in the Philippines, there's like no stoplights and no street signs. So a lot of times people use the horn as like, hey, beep, beep, I'm going, just so you know. And then the other person can be like, okay, and then they go. So I don't really want to wear earbuds because I kind of want to hear what's going on. So that's why this was nice. I will say, on a scooter, helmet on, speaker kind of shooting away from me, I did have to have this, pretty much maxed out if I was cruising, 40 to 50 kilometers per hour down the road on a scooter. It still lasted my whole trip, because I was probably only going an hour back and forth. So, but, it was enough for me to listen. Obviously, when you slow down and stop, it ends up getting pretty loud. So it's kind of nice having the volume buttons, because I kind of turned down, maybe even pause it if I was at a cluster of vehicles, so I wasn't just blaring music in every direction with the cars there. But came in super handy as my scooter speaker. Would have been cool if I could have found some way to attach it to my handlebars and shoot it at me. I think the sound would have been a little clearer for me. Or not clearer, because I could hear it just fine, but I maybe wouldn't have had to have it cranked to the max as I was driving down the road if I could have had it mounted, like, just shooting straight at me. But I never did figure that out. But then also, it came in handy just at night. There was one night, I was hanging out with a girl at the resort, and the bar closed at 10, and we got back to the resort maybe 10:30, 11. And we had bought some Captain Morgan, some Coke, ice, and we were just going to sit at the bar, because all the bars there are outside. So even though the bar was closed, there was still all the tables there. So we just went and sat at a table. The people that had the bar were nice and kind of kept the lights on for us since we were hanging out there. And we just put this on the edge of the table, played some tunes, had it pointed at us, which was nice, because there was a house across the pool that they would rent out, and there was actually a family staying there with some kids. So it was nice to be able to direct the audio towards us, so we had it pointed away from the house. And it's not like we had to have this super loud, because we had it on the table we were at, and it was just the two of us. But the directivity of this is nice, because this just would shoot everywhere, which, is fine if you put it in the center of a table and there's a group of people or something, but I tend to prefer the directivity of this one. And, like I said, just hanging it on you, this hangs a lot nicer than this would. This is 2 to 3 times the weight. It just doesn't feel as good. So I definitely like this. If I had to pick between one of these, 100% go for this one. Even though it's smaller, it's not quite as loud. Just the fact that, like, the size to performance ratio of this thing is awesome. And I did contemplate getting the JBL Clip 4, I think it's called, is the current version of that one. But kind of the, you know, the Clip 4 is nice, like if you were gonna hang it on you all day, like say like you were just hiking, the Clip would probably be the better one to go with if you're just using it as a hiking speaker. But I don't like the fact that if you don't have the clip clipped to anything, you have to just lay it on its back and shoot it straight up. I don't necessarily like that. I like being able to put this on a nightstand and shoot it at me, or put it on a table and have the audio directed towards us. And if you really want, you could lay it down, but I didn't try it, but I think you'd have to put it on a towel or something to get rid of that vibrating on the table. But I would say any sort of patio situation with maybe half a dozen people, it does get pretty loud. You could have more people if it was just background music. But like I said, you're not gonna, if you're having a loud house party with 30 people, like this is not the speaker for you. This isn't gonna jam out a house party. But, you know, either is this. You're gonna need an actual bigger speaker. But the price to performance ratio on this thing is awesome, especially if you can get it for 25 bucks. $30 was the sale price for Black Friday. I think it's a steal at 30 bucks. Would I pay 50 for it? If this died and I was going on vacation and I needed to have a speaker with me, I'd pay 50 for it. But otherwise, I'd probably, if I didn't have anything pressing and I could use this one, I'd probably wait till I see this on sale. Because I saw it on sale 2 months before Black Friday. I saw it on sale on Black Friday. It does seem that JBL has sales fairly regularly on this. So I think I just keep my eye out for a sale. It does have USB-C, which is nice. Oh, on to the cons. Now, I will say, like I said, this was kind of my toss-it-in-my-bag speaker. It's somewhat water-resistant and dust-resistant, and I really thought I was going to use this on the beach as like just chuck it in the sand and listen to some tunes while I'm lounging on the beach. I never really did that, so I never tested, you know, what it's like after chucking it into sand or if it gets a little wet. But it was in and out of my bag a lot. And I did find that, like, this rubber foot, if you can see that, is starting to come up. And I am going to go buy some super glue and try to just tack that back down neatly, because I don't want it to rip off, because I think if you lost these rubber feet, I think you'd start to run into some vibrating on the table issues. So I think these rubber feet are a little on the crucial side for good sound quality with this thing. So I'm gonna be really careful, and I'm gonna try to get that glued back down. Maybe wish those were glued a little better from the factory. The other downside, I will say, if you're listening to music at a table, you've got your phone there, you can skip through music, pick a song, change the song, do whatever on your phone. But if you've got it clipped to you and you're on a scooter and a crappy song comes up on your playlist, you know, you kind of just wish there was a next button, you know, to go through. Now, I forgot to check this in the manual, because I actually bought a JBL party box on the Black Friday sale as well. And I'll probably do a video about that soon too, because that thing's freaking awesome as well. I mean, insanely low bass for how small of a cube that thing is. But I read the manual on that one, and it said, like, if you press the play button twice, it'll skip the song forward. If you press it 3 times, it'll skip it back. Now, I actually never read the manual on this, so I probably should have read it before I made this video. But I didn't think that this one did it. I thought it was just volume up, volume down, play, pause. So that has the same button structure as this one, so I'm curious if this one does the same thing. I've just never tried it. I'll maybe leave it down in the description, since I decided to record this video before testing that. But I'd say that's the one downside, is on the motor scooter, there was times where I was like, yeah, I'd really like to just, you know, skip this song. But instead, you know, I'm driving the scooter, I've got this hanging here, and I'm like, all right, there's no traffic really coming. Unzip my bag, take my phone out, hit skip on it, put it back in. It would have been nice to have a skip button. But on the other hand, if adding a forward and back button, so it's going from 3 to 5 buttons, if that added $10 to the price of this, I'd rather not have it. So, like, if it's a price thing and I was able to get this for 25 bucks, just the way it is, 100% worth it. If I was paying full price for it, 50 bucks, yeah, I'd maybe want it. But if that play button is multi-touch, then that solves that problem right there. And that might have came out in a later firmware update. Maybe that's why my JBL Party Box has it. Maybe this one doesn't have it yet. I don't know. But yeah, that's about it for this thing. This thing is so small, you could probably, it's probably a little thick, but I was gonna say, you could darn near throw this in your back pocket and not notice a difference. I actually think, boy, it'd be interesting. I don't have my scale down here, it's in my kitchen, but I think my phone is heavier than this speaker. So that's just like how lightweight and compact this thing is. So I definitely recommend this. If you're going traveling anytime soon, this is the perfect travel speaker, but it's, you know, not just good for travel. Like, this is gonna be I have this in my backpack, and anytime, like if I'm out setting up, because I own a DJ company, I do sound for corporate events, you know, before the PA gets set up and we can listen to music, sometimes it'd be nice to just throw this on a table and have a little background music going while we're setting up. Now, I do think only having a 2 or 2.5 inch speaker in here, if you're in a jumbo wedding venue and you have this on one side, you could probably have this thing maxed out and you're not going to hear it on the other side. And that's just because it's such a small speaker. It's not like a horn-loaded driver. This thing is not made to project audio long distances. It's you know, made for close-up listening, and it's got good audio quality if you're close-up listening. So, you know, I'm not going to hold my breath that this thing's going to fill a wedding venue with setup music, you know. But this is going to be my little everyday carry speaker, like the little speaker I just keep in my backpack and I keep on me whenever I want to listen to some music. If you have any questions about this speaker, throw it down in the comments section. I'm going to check out that play button thing, so find the answer to that in the comments section too. And yeah, until next time, have a good day.